If you were suddenly transported into your favorite anime, what would be your chances of survival? When we dream of another reality, we often see it through the perspective of the main character. We witness their experiences and the growth they undergo. However, everyone has a part to play in that world. That role is often not as the protagonist, but usually as a side character or, perish the thought, a background character with very little to add. Unfortunately, though it is, not everyone can be the Naruto or Midoriya of their favourite anime. So here are 5 steps on how to survive as a mediocre side character. Step 1. Humble yourselves. Stop being cocky, you don't have plot armor. I'm sorry to start off rough, but a lot of you need to humble yourselves. You are not him, or even him. As side characters, you don't have the opportunity to make mistakes unless you somehow gain favor from the writers. You guys love bragging too much. I mean, look at Kiba from Naruto. I can't lie, this guy had a good resume in the first half of Naruto. He gave my boy a decent fight during the Chunin exams. That's the first time we ever really saw him show out. Him and Akamaru gave Naruto a couple of bruises and knockouts. I honestly thought they would have won. Until the point this nigga had to get cocky and talk about being Hokage. Like bro, you do realize you're talking to the child of prophecy, right? This dude is a self-proclaimed dog hybrid or whatever, but couldn't smell Naruto's clone and ended up punching Akamaru instead. Kiba's moves are pretty flawless, but sadly he wasn't the protagonist, so obviously he had to lose. Also, he held his own against them sound 4 niggas too. We gotta give him credit where it's due. But my guy sucked in the rest of Naruto, talking about, I wanna be Hokage out of nowhere. The sad truth, Kiba, is that you never stood a chance against the literal reincarnation of Jesus Christ and couldn't get yourself trained by one of the strongest ninjas. Like I said, that's what happens when plot armor isn't on your side. So it's either you humble yourselves to avoid embarrassment, or if not that, train harder. Okay, that brings me on to the second point. Train hard, otherwise you'll be forgotten. As we said previously, the strongest power of the main protagonist isn't his talk no jutsu, it's his plot armor. And unfortunately, that's gonna hinder you quite a lot. A lot of you have decent powers from the beginning, but if you're not one step ahead, I'm afraid you're gonna get left behind. Listen, if you do not have a spirit bomb or a serious punch, what on earth are you doing? Like, quit the anime at this point. The power gap in some anime is criminal. Look at Chad from Bleach. He's a good guy and all, don't get me wrong, but most of the characters in Bleach have solid and well-built stories. But my boy Chad failed to keep up with the main character's progress. His buddy Ichigo progressed and became a legendary Soul Reaper with cool abilities, whilst Chad was set aside and never got as much development despite being in the original squad. It's a pain to see, honestly. Alright, I'm gonna give you a bit of advice that's probably not what you want to hear, but life is a game, and in this game, if you don't want to get sidelined, you could possibly turn evil.
What is that?
Alright, step 3. Be selfish. Try not to die. You will only further the main character's development. Some of you are going to face unfortunate endings, mainly resulting in death and the termination of any further potential in your worlds. You guys are going to get obliterated simply to develop the story and the personality of the main protagonist, or to add flavor to the narrative. The death of Leone from a Kamiga kill was honestly so pointless. After a battle where she is seriously wounded, Leone eventually runs into Akame, who offers her medical assistance. Instead of accepting this, she walks off and enjoys one last night of drinking, eventually dying in the alley where she met Tatsumi. And also, stop sacrificing yourselves. Just stop. Don't underestimate the main character. This is probably one you gotta pay the most attention to. Some of you clowns end up getting surprised by how far the main character can rise above all obstacles, while you're stuck being the same weirdo you were at the start of the show. Stop being arrogant and thinking you can bully them. If you were instead attentive, you probably could have stood a chance against them. The guy or girl that you bullied or looked down on will end up being miles ahead of you in terms of power. If you followed all the previous advice and you're still struggling, you're gonna have to take things into your own hands, man. Break the fourth wall, find your writer, threaten him, kill him, do whatever. A lot of you are amazing, but ruined by bad writing. Look at Denkai from My Hero Academia. His quirk is literally electrification. It gives him the ability to charge electricity and surround his body with an aura that he can use to electrocute anyone making contact with him. This guy has the chance to be one of the best characters on that rubbish show, but sadly, the writers end up putting him on the back burner. Electric powers are probably one of the coolest abilities in anime. This is unacceptable for Denkai, and this is unacceptable for every other side character with wasted potential. So with everything I told you fellas, go find that writer.